Hello, thanks for joining me. My name is Jeremy Regier of Cougar Ridge Computer Systems, a Laserfiche reseller in Alberta, Canada. This video is part 2 of a demo video series that we are doing to showcase Laserfiche's advanced business process automation tools, Laserfiche Workflow, Laserfiche Forms, and Laserfiche Quickfields. In future videos, we will demonstrate these tools individually and show what goes on behind the scenes. This is a view of an accounts payable process, and up till this point we have created the requests and the purchase orders and received the finished products. Now we are going to move on to processing the invoices that come from the vendors, and finally scanning the checks that we have issued to pay those invoices and linking them all together. This is going to focus around Laserfiche Quickfields and Laserfiche Workflow. Let's begin. We begin in Laserfiche Quickfields. Quickfields is an offline batch processing tool that allows us to scan large batches of information from physical paper, from electronic images already stored on a computer, or we can retrieve batches of information that are already stored in Laserfiche. In this case, we're going to demo as if we are scanning vendor invoices from an attached scanner. I'm going to open the Quickfields session that we've already created. Quickfields presents a scanning interface, and in this demo we've already created a Quickfields session that is going to identify vendor invoices by the purchase orders that we have issued. It's going to perform database lookups on those purchase orders into our ERP software or accounting software and find the vendor name. Because in batch scanning, the challenge is that these different vendor invoices are going to look radically different. So let's see how Quickfields can handle them. As you can see, there are 3 invoices that this session has scanned. And if I start at the top, I can see this is from the vendor Candyfiche. Quickfields has been configured to retrieve the purchase order that we've issued, and they note on the invoice here. We know it's our purchase order because we are looking for the letters LF and then a 5-digit number, and we do that with a process called pattern matching. So we've found that pattern on this invoice, and we've noted that in the metadata for this document. So we've saved a scanner operator entering that data manually. We've also pulled things like the date using a date pattern lookup and so on. But the vendor name, we don't know where that's necessarily going to occur on the document. And in this case, it's not regular text, it's a logo. And so what we've done is we perform a third-party lookup, and we look up in a database for this PO number, and we've returned the name of the vendor, Candyfiche. This gives us a consistent processing. We'll notice on the next invoice that their invoice is laid out completely differently, but we've still retrieved our PO number. Now in this example, we have another issue where there's an actual error involved, is we've not found a company name because it retrieved another number that turned out to be an invoice number that matched the same pattern. And this is where Laserfiche can allow your scanner operator to very quickly adjust the scanned information. And in this case, I'm just going to simply remove that incorrect PO number, and I'll go up here to the company name and rerun the lookup. And since this is now a correct PO number, the correct name of the vendor has been found in the database. Again, these are the tools that we use to streamline the scanning process using Quickfields. In this case, I've reviewed these 3 invoices, and I've decided that they're good. So I'm going to store them all into Laserfiche. And it tells me that 3 pages have been stored. Now Laserfiche Workflow comes along, and it notifies me as the person who processes the invoices that I have invoices to review. It provides me the dynamic information from those invoices because we already have the information in the metadata, so Workflow can give me notification emails that are very pertinent and tell me that I need to review these invoices that are waiting approval for payment. In this example, we've also included a link to the document directly in Laserfiche included in the email, so the operator could simply double-click this link and open the document. In this case, we're going to just simply browse for it. Now you can see that in this process we've created workflow step folders so that users can see documents that are at various steps in the process. And there are now these 3 documents in the pending approval field, and I can double click on them to view them. And these are the scanned images. One thing to note is that we have a business process tab, and this allows us to see the business process that has been run on the document or is currently running, and we can see things like how long it's taken in between steps, what is expected during the next step. So this actually tells the user and says, hey, in case you forgot, please compare this invoice to the linked purchase order to check for any inconsistencies, and if everything matches up, approve the invoice. Now, Workflow has also taken the information and found the purchase order that has been created in the first place and links it into the document. So this provides a link between disparate information, and Workflow has automatically created that for us. So the user, all they have to do is double click to open that other purchase order, review what was there, compares the totals and the items shipped and so on, just to make sure that it's all good. And then it says, if everything matches up, approve the invoice. So we will select the approval field and we'll say that it's approved. If I save the changes, you'll notice that Workflow has now moved it out of the pending approval field or folder. So this approval step is now complete for the user. They simply have to go through the pending invoices, review them, and click approve on the ones that are valid, and the system will look after the next steps. So we can see in the Invoices tab that this vendor folder has been created, and the invoice is stored now in the correct folder where it belongs. So it's now stored and ready for payment. So if I go back to the pending approval, I can see that Workflow is also looking after me by saying that, whoa, we have a mismatching total, because it has checked and linked the purchase order, and it says that the amount due is a different amount. So if I review this amount, 1502.28, and I go here to the attached purchase order, I can see that it was for a different amount. And I can review that and say, well, we only approved the spending of this much. So I could approve or decline it based on that, but now I've been given that additional information to make a more informed decision, and it's warned me about a pending or a possible mismatch. In this case, I will choose approved because the totals we had discussed with the vendor and decided that that was okay to be a different amount. And it's going to carry on, and it's going to move that into the correct folder. I'll finish the last invoice here. A quick approval. And this is how simple the actual business process can be in real life, is your users, instead of handling the paper and having to manually do the reviews, they can just review them quickly, and then it moves on from them. So their business, their actual day-to-day business can dramatically accelerate. So these invoices are now ready to be paid. So the accounting department has issued checks, and now we can link those checks back into these invoices to mark them and link them in as paid. We'll go back to Quickfields. And I have a batch of checks that need to be scanned in. So when I scan them in, again, Quickfields is noting the information from those particular checks, finding the company name and the invoice number that they're paying. That's noted on the check or the check stub. If I store these into Laserfiche, then I can see that if I pick one of these invoices that I've brought in, now I can see that Workflow has found the appropriate purchase order and also linked the check. So I have now the complete picture, the purchase order that was created, the invoice that bills for that, and the check that pays it, all in one view. And all from just simply inputting the data using Quickfields. It has automatically triggered Workflow and performed those links. So you can see how little time it would take the user to actually perform these functions. Now, the last step is to show you that while we've been doing all this in a day-to-day business process, records management has not been forgotten. Since these are all in electronic records, we need to attach retention schedules and so on to them as a records manager. But unbeknownst to the user, that's already happened transparently in the background. Let me switch over to the view of the records manager. This is the view of Ralph Records. Ralph Records doesn't care about the business process itself, but he wants to make sure that the checks, the invoices, and the purchase orders are retained in their approved records management process. And if I have a look in here, I can see now my invoices have been put into new record series, and the user has retained access to those through the folder structure that LXAP sees, but that's a very functional folder structure. The actual record itself is maintained in the record series itself where it belongs. So invoices may have a different retention and a different cutoff time, and so have to store in a different method of storing because they are an actual record. Finally, you can see in purchase orders, again, these records may be cut off and stored with even different criteria. And I can see those criteria here. They've already been applied correctly to the purchase orders and the checks and the invoices as necessary. So we've actually performed records management functions on these business processes transparently to the end user. Hopefully you've got a view of how significantly using Laserfiche's advanced tools can impact your business processes and your bottom line in day-to-day operations. Stay tuned for future videos. Thanks for watching.